sprinkles, or as some people call them, hundreds and thousands. Because that rolls off the tongue like gravel. But regardless of what you call them, sprinkles are delicious and kind of a staple in the colorful candy category. And I know that these little round ones, those are called hundreds and thousands, and then the sugary, elongated ones are called sprinkles, but I do enjoy sprinkles regardless of their shape. And in a previous video, I tried a little homemade treat called fairy bread, which I believe is popular in Australia and New Zealand. And that was a great video. You guys seem to like it. So, about a week ago, I was browsing the interwebs, and I saw that there is a special little biscuit made by Arnott, who I believe make Tim Tams, which I really enjoy. I actually think Tim Tams are a better, like a better Twix, which I also enjoy. They're kind of similar. But I saw that Arnott's makes these. Hold on. Arnott's hundreds and thousands biscuit cookies. So, I thought it would be fun to try these together, along with a couple other variations of fairy bread. And, pretty excited about these, but I'm also excited to try the other fairy bread suggestions that I got from that last video. So we'll be trying a couple different versions as well as these, and just seeing how good they taste. Now, without further ado, let's go over to the taste testing table. Taste testing table, taste testing table. Alright, now that we are here at the taste testing table, taste testing table, taste testing table, taste testing table, taste testing, taste testing table, we can begin. So I have a bunch of different things here to make a variety of different fairy bread types. So I got a lot of suggestions in the comments of my fairy bread video, and some people suggested trying chocolate sprinkles instead of rainbow ones. And then there were some people who suggested I try, actual buttercream frosting. So we're going to be trying those, as well as trying the Arnott's hundreds and thousands crunchy vanilla wafered cookies. So I think what we'll do is we'll start with the fairy bread, and we'll move on to trying the cookies maybe halfway through trying the other ones. And the first one I would like to try is the chocolate. And so we'll just get a little bit of this margarine. Get rid of this plastic cover. And this is always nice and soft. And then we're just gonna spread it like so. And we want to get a really even coating of the margarine all over the bread. And actually, I'm going to move that one so that I can lay this down nice and flat and really get it coated. Because that's looking pretty good already, honestly. Right? That looks very nice. It's a little bit falling off the side that I don't like. But besides that, I think it looks really nice. So we'll put that aside. And we'll grab our chocolate sprinkles. And sprinkle them on. And I'm going to be pretty generous with how many sprinkles I put on here. Actually, I'm going to keep... So you guys will be hearing those shaking sounds for a minute. Because, of course, I think that fairy bread is basically supposed to replicate cake. But it's like a cheaper way to have cake. So the chocolate's supposed to be the sweetener. And so that looks pretty generous. Now, for the taste test, shall we? I'm a little nervous because this is a lot of sprinkles and I don't want to have them fall. Let's see if we can get this to focus on our delicious fairy bread. Now, is this called something different? You guys will have to let me know in the comments. I like that one. It's actually not as sweet as the classic fairy bread, but you do get a little bit of that chocolate taste. It's crunchy, for sure. Yeah, overall, it's pretty good. Now, I think what we might do, I have 3 pieces of bread here. I want to do a buttercream frosting variant with the classic. And who knows, maybe we will do a buttercream frosting with the chocolate as well. I might not. Only just because. I'm pretty sure I'll know. I kind of know what it tastes like. But we'll see. Let's move on to the buttercream frosting, which I think is going to be quite delicious. I almost started putting margarine on there, just by default. So we're going to get rid of the margarine for at this moment, and we're going to open up this. See, I just love the margarine. And there is the buttercream, which looks a lot like, well, this looks like butter. Which is cool, because that's kind of what the margarine looks like. See, these are both very yellow. And so we're just going to dip right into that. We're going to spread it. Now, of course, part of what makes fairy bread, fairy bread is that it isn't so sweet. And I have a feeling buttercream is just going to make this just straight candy. Like, this will actually just taste like cake. But I did get a couple suggestions for it, and people were like, I bet you that would be just delicious. And you are probably right. And so, we're going to try it tonight. And I have a feeling it's going to be delicious. So, that being said, we have the buttercream frosting done, nice and spread. Now we're going to get these guys. The hundreds and thousands. And that looks very nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pat them down a little bit with the knife, just in the hope that they don't roll off as much if I pat them into the buttercream a little bit more. There we go. I think that will significantly improve the stickiness, so that we don't have a big old mess on our hands. But that looks delicious, divine. Let's give it a taste. So crunchy. One more bite. That is delicious. I would just eat that. It is cake. That's absolutely what that is. That is just a delicious slice of vanilla cake. And so, that being said, both of these are a huge win. I like both of them quite a bit. Now we could try the rainbow with chocolate, or the chocolate with the buttercream. Do we want to attempt that? Dare we go on such an endeavor? I'm just going to pile those. Well, I think we dare. Of course, we don't want to make ourselves sick with too much candy and too much sugar, but I'm going to try to rub off all of the rainbow sprinkles because I do not want rainbow sprinkles on my chocolate or it will be contaminated. We don't want that, do we? We don't want contamination of types of fairy bread. Yeah, I forget forget. I do feel like viewers did say there was a name for the chocolate variant of fairy bread, but I don't remember what that was. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments below. I get too many comments, I can't find every single one. Okay, so there's the buttercream, and I think what we'll do is we'll just sprinkle up one portion as not to waste too many sprinkles. So I know this looks weird, but this is just for the bite. Okay, let's try it. That is quite delicious. The sweetness from the buttercream actually kind of helps the chocolate come through a little bit more. That is very good. I actually really like that. All three of these are delicious. Again, if you're going for a healthier, lighter, not so sweet, probably just do classic fairy bread with margarine or butter. But for like a real sweet treat, I think buttercream works wonderfully. So, that being said, let's move our trays around a little bit. Cover up my margarine. Move this over here. And bring in our Arnott's hundreds and thousands biscuits. They look scrumptious, and there's a little parrot on the container. Not sure why. But let's get our little trusty scissors. They're actually a little dirty. I need to clean these. And we'll cut into the container. And like I said earlier, Tim Tams are like so good. I get Tim Tams from the import section of my grocery store all the time. Okay, so first impressions are that they're broken. That's a bit of a bummer, but that's okay. I will also say they're not quite as vibrant as they are on the picture, but that's fine. It's also not a necessity. They're crunchy. They look like crunchy little cookies. Hold on. Let's see. Crunchy little cookies. A crunchy little cookie. Very pink. Very colorful. Very cute. So, let's try it. And it actually says right here, Aussie made and loved. Right on the bottom. Oh, that's really yummy, actually. I want to look on the back, but you know what? We'll unsleeve them entirely, and that way I can look on the back. So the biscuit's ingredients are wheat flour, sugar, hundreds and thousands, looks like spirulina powder, I don't know what that is, glazing agent, vegetable oil, starch, salt, gelatin, baking powder, emulsifier, natural flavor, food color, and contains wheat and gluten and soy. So, not too bad. Well, I also didn't see what is the sugar content. I don't actually see that. That's okay. I'm not worried about it. We already know we're eating sugar. Let's take another bite. So, the question you might be asking is, do they taste like a hundreds and thousands fairy bread? I would say kind of. They're certainly a little sweeter, but not overly sweet. There is the, hold on if you can see it, if it'll focus. There's the Aussie made and loved right there. But, they're very yummy. Simple cookies. I wouldn't call these overly complex. These are the kinds of cookies I would definitely dip in coffee. They're crunchy, not overly sweet, but have that good texture and crunch to them that could use a little softening with a liquid like coffee or milk. Very yummy though. And overall, I would give these like a 7.5 out of 10. Out of these that we tried, I actually think that the chocolate with buttercream was my favorite. Though the hundreds and thousands, I like the crunch more. So, take that as you will. But, I think overall this was quite a success. Very yummy, sweet little treats. And you let me know what you think. Have you ever had these before? If so, what did you think about them? And let me know if you've ever tried any of these fairy bread variants, as well as fairy bread in its entirety. So, with all that being said, thank you for watching. Remember to leave a like, subscribe, hit the hype button to hype this video up, and I will see you all in my next video. I love you all. Sleep well, my